does have a title. I had titled it, and then I had to cancel it because uh, something went weird, and the phone locked itself in horizontal view, and that's not the way I like to do my drive streams. Anyway, Grand Rising. I have to check the new features. I just noticed YouTube's got a handful of new features. Again. Uh, so this is called Passage of People. And what was on my mind was, I am 45 now. I've gone through a tremendous amount of social orientation my entire life. I I think I had a very deterministic inner world, and so it was so deterministic that the painful choice of walking away from people was an easier choice, a hard choice, but yet an easier choice than staying with people in whom I felt could not, were not supportive of my needs. Because time, right? It's just like some people that I think have a certain idea of what social relationships ought to be doesn't think much about the time with the kind of person that they're asking for, right? And I think not just about people that I've walked away from, but people that have kicked me out. I've been kicked out of a thing or two. In sometimes extraordinarily shameful, embarrassing ways, right? Like my behavior was unconscious and immature as a man of a certain age, perhaps in my 20s, perhaps in my 30s, but yet still a man of a certain age. And that was just part of my personal struggles with things, because the only the primordial reason beyond social connection that I wanted to have all sorts of friends was my personal sense of inferiority and valuelessness, and the fear of the responsibilities of life. And it's so, be a part of a greater something, so that way maybe one day bad thing happened to me, and someone will be there outside of my family, who I may not want to be so goddamn close to right now in my discovery of myself. Because that's obviously a big part of what's going to happen to any parent, is that their kid is going to need to get away from you to find themselves, because they can't just keep referencing you that way, right? And I have a much more disconnected relationship with my father than other people, but also a way better relationship with my father than I had 20 fucking years ago as a 45-year-old man. Excuse me. So, I can see, like, that this is why I had such a a strong relationship with Sigmund Freud's collective ego. You know, I didn't think I'd agree with it so darn much. And that's mostly because most of Freud's baggage-based claims were parked at the door. So I think that he was on to something, right? And so, albeit such a smaller work than Jung's collective unconscious, it is yet still a very direct and explanatory work of things, right? And so I don't want to fit myself back into a space that is not for me anymore. But I also still want to find my place connected to the place that was familiar to me, right? Because, you know, I only have so many friends, and I'm not in the scene enough, and you know, you're not friends, you know, after a certain amount of years, or you're friendly. You know, it's like, not that anything's changed, and you still have good relations towards each other, but you know, you don't, you know, it's just like, are you on the level where you care that much about, you know, how's things going with, you know, your family and things like that, or are you there because you're still kind of talking about your shared experience, like what's going on for me as a musician, right? You know, in the scene, in the band, at the show, X, Y, and Z aspects of life where we're the same, and you know, and you spend time with that, and then eventually, you know, you say to yourself, oh man, you know, this is, you know, you share more and more little things of trust, and you know, it's a likable dude. We should fucking collaborate, mutual respect, and whatever, and so on and so forth, right? Like, a lot of heel wrestlers often are kind of like playing off of that, right? Like, the heel only has professional associates because they advance his career, right? You know, the villain has all those selfish traits, you know, selfish, which gets you into a kind of a crude one-for-one with Satanism as an allegory. So heel wrestlers are like the Satanists to the babyface, right? You know, in the 1970s, it was, you know, like certain politicians were of the ultra-vilest for one political party's argument, and the other had much more civil compassion, right? The heel versus the babyface in that dynamic, right? So, you know, the babyface, it's just like his professional associates, you know, it's all about like, oh, we're all good guys and we're all gonna win together, right? And then one of those guys on that team, they're, you know, a tag team, you know, a Triforce, or a whole fucking stable. What, back in the day when they would just let like an entire gang manifest in the script, you know, WCW, I'm looking at you in the new fucking world order, and will not speak ill of the dead, but I didn't realize what Hulk Hogan was in on the business side to fuck over health insurance. But thanks, Terry, for the memories. But anyway, And so you go through that transformation, and because your relationship is a public relationship with these guys, it puts the fans through that relationship and turns feelings, right? It's the same thing like certain people had certain feelings when Ozzy and Iron Maiden at Ozfest got into a fight, and similar feelings between Dave and James, similar feelings, like look at what just happened with Brent Hines and Mastodon, right? And so you walk away from certain things. You walk away from all sorts of people in your life. It changes all the stuff and the energy. It opens you up to many possibilities. It opens them up to also many possibilities. Depending on the nature of the severance, it can keep a door open or shut it, but it can also shut in the past, but also shut doors in the future too. If people disagree with your ethics in the manner in which you quit, it'll be like, hey man, we sympathize with your situation, we think you are morally correct, but man, you didn't have to do it like that, right? That's the ethical question, is when you disagree with the way it was done, for meaningful reasons, because somebody may have been a little bit more fucked over. You may have been rubbing a little salt in the wounds that was a tell on your character, right? And so, if you take the hint, you learn a lesson in adjusting your behavior, right? Because never discount the message within the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious is going to tell you the truth if you know how to interpret it. The collective ego, I don't know if the collective ego is going to lie to you. I don't know if, it is going to lie to you. So let me rephrase that. The collective ego can lie to you. It may lie to you. But that doesn't mean it will. It depends on how the collective ego is manifesting. So that's why this that's part of what's inspiring this stream, is just me thinking about how I want to jump back into things in aspects of my old life, and when you've changed so much, yet still are of a certain kind, right? Like, I've gone through all these changes, I'm still absolutely a metalhead and a metal musician, and a likable person, a kind, respectful, honorable, self-controlled man, and I'm just not quite nailing it with things. Uh-oh. I have a feeling. I have a feeling that I could have slept in today. I have a feeling. Um, because on Friday, all I said to the boss was, "I'll see you on Monday," and he said, "Yeah." And nobody was thinking about Labor Day. It is time for work, and fucking nobody's here. No, I don't see the boss's car. I don't see anybody around. People, I'm supposed to be here tomorrow. I just wasted a whole fucking trip. Okay, guys, new plan. I'm gonna go drive home, and you're gonna get some more time to hear me chit chat as I drive home fucking foolishly. I am a ridiculous human being. All right. Because I should have thought, of course it's fucking Labor Day. Of course it's Labor Day. I mean, I knew it was Labor Day, but I wasn't even fucking thinking about it. You know, I guess now I'm a fucking construction worker. It feels fucking awesome to say that. Not as awesome as saying I'm a rock star, or at least a musician, active musician. I guess I do get the privilege of not working on Labor Day and not getting paid. The privilege of having an unpaid day off. I think on a day like Labor Day, I think you ought to make an agreement with a boss. Right? It's just like you can work up to 8 hours on Labor Day if you'd like. It's like this one work day a year where it's fully negotiable. You can take all of Labor Day off if you're fucking strapped up, right? And like companies would have to have some aspect of the work that you would prep. You would tell your boss like a week or something in advance, right? Because you got to prep with the boss. It's just like, do you want to do any time on Labor Day? Up to you. I'd rather you didn't, because I also don't want to go to work because I'm the boss, and I'd rather have nobody to boss around. Right? Unless it's a remote situation and he can boss you around by cell phone, which on a construction job, yeah, they absolutely can do that. Silly that I had to waste the gas for this. Fucking silly. Ugh. Right there on top. I showed up on time on a vacation day. See, I'm not used to Labor Day meaning something to me. Labor Day last year, I was still working in retail. In retail, you gotta work Labor Day for all the laborers that have the day off to go shopping. It's ironic. I mean, it's fair. I mean, you're in retail, you're not really laboring. Unless it's a laborious retail job, which is what I had working at a florist. Moving around heavy pots and heavy plants and landscaping work. This is like, give me a break. Give me a fucking break. Right? So early on, because I had my social migration patterns, best way I can describe it, it's very Aquarian. I learned how to be a social chameleon just so I could have meaningful connections with people, right? Looking for all the answers, because it was just like being a Gen X millennial cusp, but way more on the Gen X side, because I'm part of that early 1980s, which I think if you're a Pisces and Vedic, you count as Gen X. So I'm really Gen X. I'm just old enough to have been raised as a little kid in a colder world, right? The baby boomers had established a very cold, narcissistic, lecherous fucking world for people to grow up in. Failures of the culture of morality because of its blind focus into dogmatic religion in a belligerently self-evident way that wasn't self-evident once you actually cross-examined the doctrines and the sources and the nature of the true character of the persons assuring you of these fucking things. Horrid. Fucking horrid. So I became a social chameleon early on, right? You know, it was just like, you know, like I know a lot of people that like they get into their identity, like being a metalhead, and they gotta fucking be for these things and against these things as their metal prerogative. And that's not what I got into metal when I was a kid, growing up. You know, I got into metal because I wanted to shout at the devil. I wanted to make the devil go away, you know? Or whatever, you know? It would change. The point is that I wanted the power to face everything that scared me. So I looked at something that had this energy of fuck off you threat. So if it had the energy of everything's a threat, fuck off, I was going to listen to it. And it took me a while to get into intense stuff because, you know, I was living incredibly afraid, but trying to find his courage. And getting harsh lessons in shame when you don't understand why people mock you for doing the best thing you thought you had to do for yourself, right? Or mocked you because you didn't like the way you did it for someone else, or what? Just like you end up shutting down, right? You know, I don't know if one would classify me as, quote, autistic, and I don't care to get diagnosed. But what I would be interested to know, which is likely true, the manner in which I think, the way I've seen high-functioning autists think, etc., is that the autist has more neural connections because something going on in their mind is not curating neural connections. It accepts taking in all the information or more of the information, right? The autist is born with a wider aperture, and thus it takes them longer to acclimate to their environment because, you know, this is, it makes sense, okay? Because the interesting thing about that is that the other thing that builds connections in the brain as such is cannabis. Cannabis has direct implications towards growing neural network. This was, I think, cited amongst my arguments in Congress of Hartford here in Connecticut, back in 2010 when I was an advocate in Normal and was working on getting it cleared for medical treatment. Landmark fucking moment, right? An aspect of my magical influence is in this state, and it allows me the one thing that I know everybody always wanted is for everybody just to be fucking chill about weed. Just chill the fuck out, right? But anyway, you know, so you know, like I kind of feel like a wandering Ronin most of my fucking life for this matter, right? You know, like like you end up identifying with a character like Gandalf because when you realize growing up is understanding that Gandalf's not your daddy, right? You know, you read The Hobbit and you're just like, why is Gandalf always gone, right? And he's a wizard. He's got important things to do, and you can't fucking rely on him on that level. And be grateful when he's able to sacrifice time with the existential good for your personal good. You know, because, you know, Thorin Oakenshield's story in Middle-earth is not a quintessentially, absolutely important story. It's an influencing factor, right? It's the difference between the rise of the Dark Lord with Smaug in the world and the rise of the Dark Lord without Smaug in the world. And I lose friends trying to influence the outcome of a battle with a fucking dragon. And I've been rude, disrespectful, and insulting by unfortunate necessity. In cutting things off when I'm seeing, you know, the revelation of the disrespect, right? The revelation of the insult. When the insult arises, it tells you a truth from the personal unconscious of the offender. And it's fine. It can be small. Just because it's a small fucking thing, it doesn't mean it doesn't require an impactful fucking response. Not a reaction, but a response, which may have action itself. I sometimes ask myself, should I just take this channel down? Sometimes, right? Because it's just like, do I keep all this good work that I have done in the same persona that I care to be as a musician, as I care to actually be walking around? Do I want to keep all of this unified under me? right? It's the difference between, like, you know, you got like, you know, Corey Taylor. Corey Taylor Slipknot is a different character than Corey Taylor Stone Sour. Everybody gets that. Right? The mask comes off. The songs get more personal and less vile. Right? The mask is for the great and violent horror show that you expect from the character. You know, it's you watch two different sides of Corey Taylor's psyche. Seen in a healthy fashion, given this artistic performance that thankfully is coming from a sufficiently talented person who knows personal responsibility, has personal character. Hey, what's up, Nicholas? Yes, happy Labor Day. If only I had known I didn't have to get up at 3:30 in the morning this day. If only I'd fucking known that. So I don't regret losing sleep then. I'll probably take a nap when I get back home. Which also means I've got a lighter paycheck coming up in another week or so. Bummer. Anywho. Should have thought to text last night. Should have. Silly me. But anyway. That's why a lot of people, you know, do certain things that they do. I've seen a number of people, you know, going back, you know, if I go back to 2012, looking at the landscape of who from Revolution Radio has continued and who has dropped out and changed and don't speak much about certain things. I mean, like, even that's the same with me. It's part of why, like, there's reasons why I don't put my time into doing something. Like, I would love to do something, I would love it if I saw something popping up from Occult Rejects, for instance, that was super adjacent to what I'm trying to accomplish, that fits into Occult Rejects conversation. Right? Because I'm real proud of what Nick's doing over there. He's banging it out the fucking park. And he's done 2 interviews with Thomas Sheridan now. That's what's up. That's what's up. Awesome shit. Shout out Occult Rejects. But I gotta work on all this stuff, which doesn't necessarily gel with everyone that I like, and then I wonder, just like, it's that emotional sense of Gabo. It's just like, which is why they use the Gabo symbol for pornography. It's just like, do you like me as much as I like you? Is the feeling mutual? Is there mutuality, right? You put that X up on the porn, you're implying that anything that's happening there, the party that looks like they don't like it actually does, right? And this is what is part of the various things we do, so that way when they turn on porn and the girl is in pain, especially, you know, if you're watching BDSM stuff and slap fetishing and all that stuff, you know, there's the normal liabilities that are put out there to make sure, you know, people know what's up. There's all sorts of contract law that goes ahead of that. But as far as the public consumption side of it is, it's just part of the markers, right? Those X's signify, yeah, damn straight this is mutual. It's 3 times mutual, motherfucker, right? And that's what they're saying, right? It's saying we've agreed that anything goes. on. Eek. Did I hit him? There was a squirrel, a black squirrel, and I had to brake ever so slightly. I saw him do like this, like he fucking spun like a goddamn top. I think he phased out. I think he did what the folk do, and he stepped between worlds, because I don't know how I didn't splatter him. He must have been under the car and missed the tire, because that was intense. All right. Anyway. So it's always that thing, right? It's just like, okay, now that you've stepped into your idea of being a man and your idea of being who you want to be as a man, but you still relate to people that you still care for, old friends as such or whatever, but it may just simply be permanently over. There may just be nothing there for you, right? In their hearts. It's just like, oh yeah, Steve. Well, that's good. How's he doing? I don't know, man. And that's a matter of like, like how hard do you remember a big disagreement between us, right? What did that disagreement mean about how you judged me? And that changes the whole equation. Because it's kind of fair. I may not laugh at certain things anymore, right? I hate to throw the shame. What about it? Oh, that's an old phone. And I didn't realize that I didn't have to work this Labor Day, so I just got back when I showed up. All right. So, fresh air do me good. So, because this is part of why I needed to read Heidegger, right? Understanding how this Dasein works, right? The realm that I was in with different friends from different social groups from different times in my life suited me at different stages of my avatar, and I would not have the same relationship with them. But, part of me is interested in coming back and see if I can... Look, man, a hell of a lot of the reason why I do this shit to myself is, it's not just how I failed myself, right? It's how I failed others, too. And I always was sitting there thinking that way. It's just like, have I, how do I handle how I failed this and that? And it was such a deep, deep personal issue that I found at the heart of it, while reflecting on the shame of aspects of my life. That's why I stepped away from everybody. I felt fucking, I felt like this isn't right at all. This isn't me at all. Not like who I said I was, but a handful of actions that, in retrospect, were wrong decisions that I foolishly made. That how could I have known any better? Other than if I wasn't so bothered by everybody that was trying to help me. Yeah, I was just difficult. I was one of those difficult guys that perhaps it was an inner-seated narcissism or arrogance of a child at the time, which can lead to one feeling like they're fucking special. And I think it's okay to feel special. And to even feel special compared to everybody else all the time. But it's all about your attitude, your mindset, and knowing that specialness is it's your unique specialness, but many other people, they came into this world with it, and some people couldn't hold it as a child, right? I was holding it to my detriment, but it was important because I wouldn't have become this awesome weird guy that does what he does and thinks that it matters even if only one person was influenced by him. And a lot more than one person has done major things of influence. And some of those one persons. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys later.